everyone and welcome back to my channel, Coding with Estefania. In this video, you're going to learn how to define and declare a variable, their differences, and how you can actually assign an initial value to a variable in JavaScript. So let's dive in. We start by writing the let keyword. You can see that it is highlighted in a different color. That is what we call syntax highlighting in programming. It is a technique that lets us distinguish visually the different types of elements in our code. Okay, so after we have the let keyword, we have to write the name of the variable. Let's say that I want to store the string Mars. We have the let keyword, we have the name of the variable, and notice that we are using camel case here because we're starting with a lowercase letter, then we write an uppercase letter for favorite, and then we write an uppercase P for planet. Then we write a space, an equal sign, another space, and then the value that we want to assign, which is a string. Remember that strings are surrounded by double quotes or single quotes. And we end the line with a semicolon. Now let's check if we actually have this variable defined in our code. If we write the name of the variable again, my favorite planet, we should be able to get the value, Mars. That is the purpose of a variable. You define it once, you assign a value to it, and then you can write the name of the variable anywhere you need to. In this case, we are writing it within parentheses for console.log, so we should see it in the terminal. Let's open up the terminal and let's run our code. I am within the folder, and then I run program.js. And that's right, I see the output right here, Mars. Awesome, right? I write the name of the variable and I get the value as the output. Because when the program runs, wherever you can see the name of that variable, we will be using the actual value of the variable at that point. The value of a variable can also be updated while the program is running, and we will see that in the next video. Okay, but for now, we're just assigning an initial value to it. This is what we call defining a variable. But we can also declare a variable. And this is different from defining the variable. Let's see the differences. When we define a variable, we immediately assign a value to it. We are using let, then we write the name of the variable, and then right here, we are immediately assigning a value to that variable. But that is not always necessarily the case, because what if we don't know that value in advance when we create the variable? Sometimes we may not know this. It might be, for example, something that the user has to enter, or something that we will determine later on in our program. We won't always know the value immediately when we create that variable. So instead of doing this, we can just omit this part and just write let followed by the name of the variable and a semicolon. That is what we call declaring a variable. Let me write this right here. You can see that this text is gray in contrast with this line of code because this is what we call a comment in JavaScript. A comment is just a way of writing text or comments for ourselves that we can read to describe the code. It's not actually part of the code and it's not affecting the code in any way. It's just there for us to write different comments about our code. In JavaScript, we write comments with 2 dashes. If we write 2 dashes, the entire line will be considered as a comment. Awesome, so right here we're declaring the variable. Let's see what happens if we use it right here. We're not assigning a value to it yet. Right now we see undefined. Remember that special value that we talked about in the data types video? Yes, it's right here, undefined. This value is assigned to the variable when it doesn't have a particular value assigned to it yet. And that is the case right here when we use it before we assign a value to it. We can also assign the value like this. We write the name of the variable, followed by the equal sign, and then the value. And now, we do see the value Mars. because we are assigning a value to the variable before we actually use it. However, it's always recommended to assign a value to the variable if you do know the value in advance. Now, this is not declaring, it's defining the variable because we are assigning an initial value to it. Now you know how to create a variable by defining it or declaring it.